Here's a piece in today's New York Times, Adam Nossiter writing it, that is a cautionary note. We are living in a very, very pivotal and dangerous time. And in fact, I think this ongoing demonization of Russia, frankly, is a piece of this. Russia should be an ally of the United States, not an enemy. And we have it in our power to make that happen, I believe. Keep in mind, it's the second largest nuclear power in the world, among other things. But to the point of this article by Adam Nossiter, he's talking about Boko Haram and how Nigerians, there's an election in Nigeria coming up. It's going to happen in the next month or so. Current president is Goodluck Jonathan. And everybody figured that Goodluck Jonathan was going to win hands down because basically he's been taking all the money that Nigeria gets from all their oil and he's, passed it out here and there and made a bunch of cronies rich, but some of it has trickled down to the local people. But the problem is that Boko Haram has just been, eating the country. I mean, they've got control over a good chunk now of Nigeria, and they are brutal and they are, just horrible. So what's happening? In fact, in the Nigerian capital, there's an organization called the Center for Democracy and Development, and Jibrim Ibrahim, political scientist who works there, said the state is collapsing and everybody is frightened. He's speaking about Nigeria. And here's the story. Oil prices have crashed, which means that Goodluck Jonathan doesn't quite have the good luck he had before in terms of having cash to pass out. And at the same time, Boko Haram is growing. And so now there's a good chance that a former dictator, a former military dictator of Nigeria who took power in a military coup back 20 or more years ago and held power just for a year and a half or thereabouts before he was overthrown in another military coup. But this guy is running for president on the let's introduce Sharia law all across the country. Let's lock down Nigeria. Let's be more, it's basically there's a time of crisis and people are turning to the authoritarian. So Mr. Buhari is his name, the guy who used to be the General Buhari. And this is a scary thing. I mean, this Muhammadu Buhari, 72-year-old general. With Nigeria's presidential elections only weeks away, this is the New York Times, Adam Nossiter writes, Boko Haram's unchecked rampage here in the country's north is helping to propel the 72-year-old general, Muhammad Buhari, to the forefront. Now, it's an interesting story about Nigeria, but it's a cautionary tale for us and for every place else in the world. When you have a failed state, what steps in to replace it is not democracy. Now, the assumption of Don Rumsfeld, Paul Wolfowitz, the geniuses behind the Bush strategy of destroying the Afghanistan state and the Iraq state back in 2002, 2001, 2002, and 2003. The rationale behind that was this whole neoconservative rationale that was articulated by Hayakawa in his book, The End of History, and a bunch of other of these, hard right-wingers. And I wrote about some of this in my book, Threshold, The Crisis of Western Civilization. Their theory was, if you take away the state, if you take away the power of the state, if you throw a country into chaos, democracy will automatically emerge because democracy is the natural state of humanity. And we've seen animal studies that demonstrate that. Well, democracy is the natural state of humanity, and the animal studies do corroborate that. But if you look at 1,000 years of European history, the Dark Ages and Middle Ages, what you discover is that for democracy to happen, you have to have a couple of preconditions. And chaos isn't one of them. Instead, you need reasonable infrastructure, you need an educated populace, you need people to have a certain minimum standard of living so that they're above the threshold of desperation and poverty. And without those things, democracy can't happen. Jefferson was quite articulate about this. It's why he started the first free college in the United States, the University of Virginia, and was so proud of it that that's what's on his tombstone. So what's happening in Nigeria right now is the same thing that we're seeing happen across the Middle East and all the places where we caused failed states with the Bush doctrine. I think this hopefully this completely repudiates the Bush doctrine. And we won't make these kind of idiot mistakes anymore.